with, and I'm like, man, I feel you, bro.
All right. Well, we are live and we're
Are we
recording.
live? We're
So
live
keep
now?
going.
At this very moment, we're live. We're hanging out. All right. Welcome. I didn't know, what time is it? Oh, it's 9:03. This is the slide that says, everything we say here is not the fault of the SFM. It is my opinion or whomever is speaking's opinion, and it really has no bearing on reality or anything out there. So please hold curls accountable and don't bother me with it. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm pulling out my notes here. It is wonderful to see everybody today. Thanks for hanging out. I am one day going to learn how to work my computer so I can still see everybody and see my notes. So today's topic is going to be the season of separation. I was listening to one of my guys, Ed Milet, and by I say one of my guys, I don't personally know him at all. He's just a guy that I like his content. So I kind of stole this idea from him a while ago, and I thought that it was fitting to share it at this time of year. Because I think that no matter where we are, there are a lot of things that are just typical, I believe, with this season right now. So I want to talk about kind of how we can separate from ourselves, from who we are now, right? Separate from the rest of I don't want to say our competition, because the only competition we really have is, who we were yesterday. But how we can just kind of move forward this time of year instead of falling back and staying in the same cycle, right? Like most people, I just shot this little video the other day and broadcast it out to my subscribers, and it was essentially, it's like December 13th or whatever day it was, Monday, and a lot of people are in the same spot that they were last year and the year before that and the year before that. What got me thinking of that was, I was at the gym, and it was empty, like nobody there, right? Because people are out eating gingerbread cookies and shit, right? And in January, my gym is going to be packed every year, wall to wall, right? Because everybody's going to change on January 1st. On New Year's, they're going to change their life, right? Starting this day, unless the first is on like a Saturday, then it's going to be Monday, January 3rd. I'm changing my life, and then by the end of January, it'll be less. And then February, it'll be normal again because people give up. And then next year in December, it'll be exactly the same thing, right? So, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I figured today we would just talk about some things that we could do to separate ourselves, right? So that we're not kind of stuck in that cycle. And then, of course, after I talk, then we all talk, because it's way more interesting to hear what you guys say. So, and I don't just mean like in our business, right? Like we can separate ourselves from our current position in our relationships, and our money, our body. Excuse me, I just drank my green drink. That was disgusting. Our business, depending on whatever areas of life, that matters to you the most. So that's what we're talking about. So implement whatever it is you really want to work on and put it in there, but this is the season, like we just talked about, where, people begin to flinch, they get weak, they take time off, they relax, get casual about their routine. Myself included, everybody I know, right? Like I don't know anybody that's a total machine robot. But it's good to have reminders even when we know things, at least for me, I believe that. So, if we choose to, we can use this time to separate, right, from where we currently are, which, is what a lot of us want to do. It's called growing. And, growing is separating yourself from your current condition to the next level, in any area of life, right? But from an entrepreneur standpoint, from a business standpoint, from a family standpoint, health and nutrition, all of it. We are, entering the ultimate separation season, which is this window of time, in the holidays. It kind of started around Thanksgiving. but it really begins to accelerate about, the second, third week of December when everybody starts taking the time off, they start cooling it, and they're not showing up like they want to. They start making all these excuses in their mind, like most people slack during the holidays, so I'm just going to take a bunch of time off, or everybody eats bad this time of year, so I might as well join them. Everybody spends money during the holidays that they don't have, so I'll just do the same thing, you know, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like if we get more discipline, right? If we get more focused, we can really accelerate our growth over the next few weeks, right? And this time last year was big for me. It was actually the first time that I really implemented this mentality. And I need to get back to it this year. That's one of the reasons we're having this call because I'm talking to myself. But we're coming down to the end of the year. There's so many days left, and it's a chance right now to lean in, at the finish line in so many areas. And what most people do, though, let's just say that this, the year has been like a full speed sprint all year. Now they start to jog. Right now they start to slow down, and like disclaimer, like this is just an analogy. I don't run for shit. No sprint, no jog. I don't do none of that. I used to make a joke that I didn't run unless the cops were chasing me, but now I don't even do anything for the cops to chase me anymore. So running is just non-existent. But it can be sleeping in, right? It can be eating that extra piece of cake. It can be making the little decisions that just add up and kill momentum, and I believe that we don't surpass our own self-worth, right? Like we don't walk around thinking that we're average, having all these limiting beliefs, and then all of a sudden we wake up the next day as some elite performer. Like that shit doesn't happen, right? Now we can increase our self-worth by building our self-confidence. And like we talk about a lot on this call, and I'm a huge believer of, is we build self-confidence by making and keeping commitments to ourselves. So if you can begin to do these things that other people aren't willing to do, right? Maybe the things that the former you weren't willing to do, then you begin to believe that the new you deserves these things, right? That other people won't get. The new you deserves to get things the former you didn't get either, and that's why the season is so critical. So let's get intentional with how we spend our time over the next few weeks. While someone else is mailing it in and being casual, and they're slowing down, and one day turns into 3 days, turns into 4 days. Let's flip that. Let's raise our game. I'm not saying not to enjoy the holidays and the people in our lives, but remember, it's like Christmas is a holiday. It's not a hol a month. New Year's Eve is a holiday. It's not a hol a month or a hol a week. But people keep taking these holiday weeks and months this time of year, and this is the time to take the opportunity, for this new version of us to emerge. And so how do we take advantage of this season? Let's talk a little bit about some of the things we can do to separate. And in business right now, people start slowing down. Like they're just. I remember back when I did medical sales, nobody did anything this time of year, right? Like sales were just bad because nobody was available. Everybody just took time off and was lazy, and then they took half of January to get motivated and to get everything going again. And I have found in my experience that's pretty much typical, out there in different industries. And when we're online, the internet never sleeps. We don't necessarily have to rely on other people for us to grow our business, and there's a lot of people out there that they start doing all their planning for 2021. Like planning doesn't really take that long. We can do planning in a pretty quick window of time. We need to get after it. We need to execute. There's 12 months in a year, and there's 365 days in most of those years. Not this year. This year was leap year, right? So some people use 21 days before the end of the year to plan, right? They'll take, what are you doing in December? I'm planning for 2021, baby. Like you can do that shit in a day. Like if you just sit down and actually sit down and plan and make goals, I mean, what can you not do in a full day, right? So taking a month to do it is basically just that monkey brain, right? Telling us, well, everybody else does it. That's what I'm doing. I really want to get intentional and really put a lot of effort into these goals so that they're perfect and they fit, right? And we all know that that's just crap. So let's talk about some basic places that you can separate. Okay, number one, let's talk about your fitness. This is the time of year where people start missing gym days. But we can make a conscious decision like I don't miss my routine. In fact, I'm doubling down my efforts. I'm shooting for a personal best every day, whatever it is. And now the gyms might not be open in some areas, and that's cool. Or you might not even care about the gym. That's cool too, right? But in my opinion, we need to do something for our health. That's just the opposite of sitting around our ass drinking eggnog. Like something that's good for us this time of year, because most things are not. Like there's a lot of good stuff going on. I believe that's good for our spirit, or good for our mentality in some ways. But as far as for our health, this time of year is really not known for that, right? And there's people have the excuse of COVID. It's a thing. I get it. Um, but I think the COVID excuse is kind of worn out. Like we can find a way to exercise in some capacity. Like if you're on lockdown, you need help finding something to do, just hit me up. I'll be glad to help. Right? I'll give you something. Just walk around your kitchen instead of opening the refrigerator. Something, right? Just something that's good for us. Let's do that, right? And the next thing we need to be mindful about is what we put in our mouth. So this can help us separate from who we were last year, this season. And by doing this, we'll produce a better version of ourselves. Now, we're going to have all kinds of temptations around us, right? We're going to be around food that we probably normally wouldn't eat. And what do? Right? Like it's just human nature. Well, it's Christmas. Of course I'm going to have it, but what if you could not? Like I'm not saying don't eat the dessert, but you could separate. Like what if you decided I'm just going to do it a little bit different than everybody else, because I want to convince me that I'm doing these things other people aren't willing to do, right? I'm going to convince me that I'm different from the former me. So when it comes to eating, let's just say when these desserts present themselves, what if you had half the dessert? Maybe you're not so crazy that you don't have any dessert, but have half, right? Or just have some of it. Like you want to enjoy your life, but if you eat half a piece of pie or a whole piece of pie, is not really going to affect the joy of your holidays, right? But you'll probably feel better if you do something that is good for you. And I'm just using pie as the example, but whatever it is for you, if it's going to be an unhealthy meal, like turkey and stuffing, right? All that stuff that's around me, or whatever your culture is. And if it was up to me, Christmas meal would be pizza and Mexican food. But I'm not trying to rock that boat. My mom might beat me with her walker or something, and I'm not really getting into that. But whatever the Christmas meal is, it's probably not healthy. Like, let's just be real. It's kind of like Thanksgiving over here. It's like, it's great to see everybody, but you feel like shit for 3 days afterwards, right? It's gluttonous. And there's a way that we can enjoy the holidays and enjoy ourselves and spend time with the people we care about without just repeating the same cycle, So I kind of believe, that if we enjoy these meals without gorging ourselves, without overindulging, that if we can have that discipline, that alone will help our confidence, And I kind of like me personally, I kind of like psych myself up for things like this. Like I believe, I talk to myself a lot, but that's another conversation, But I believe that I deserve to look and feel the best that I can if I'm willing to put in the work, And a lot of you know this, but I had set an intention when I was 41 to be in the best shape of my life at 45, which I was, but that was back in March, and now I've gotten away from that some, right? And I've stayed consistent with my training and my effort, but my nutrition hasn't really been on point. So this message is for me, right? I'm pretty much talking to myself. So I'm looking at this time of year to do the opposite of what most people are doing, and using this time to separate. So now that I can be in the best shape of my life at 46, not necessarily separate from other people. I'm not in competition with other 46-year-olds, right? But I'm in competition with who I was yesterday, and I want to be more fit, and I want to feel stronger and more powerful and flexible and energized and all of these things, and when people look at me and why are you training so hard? You're not like an athlete. You work from home all day. Like, why are you training so hard? I'm like, training for life, motherfucker. Life's hard, life's beautiful, but it's also hard, you know? And when I do these things, it builds my self-confidence, right? So these little separators, if you stack them up, especially in a season when everybody else isn't doing it, it magnifies, and when we do this, it's important to give yourself credit, to be intentional about it. Like when you do it, acknowledge it and celebrate it. It's so like when we're doing these things, right, and we're keeping these promises to ourselves, and we're eating half a piece of cake, and we're not being gluttonous, and we're doing some sort of something to exercise, or we're working on our business on Saturday morning, right, instead of just sitting around watching cartoons or whatever it is you watch, we're making deposits. Okay, all these little things add up. These are deposits, but we have to be aware of the deposit, or we don't get the full benefit. And what I mean by this is, imagine you made $1,000 deposit in the bank, right? Or 1,000 pounds, or 1,000 euros, or whatever the currency is where you live. 1,000 of those things, right? But you didn't get the deposit slip, right? That it was in there. You didn't do anything to validate the deposit. That could be concerning. Well, a lot of people do these separation things, but they don't get the deposit slip. They don't go, I did it, right? Don't acknowledge the achievement, right? The deposit slip of life is acknowledging and giving yourself credit for doing things that serve you. Okay, things the old you wouldn't do, or that most people don't do, right? So it's not just enough to do it. Like we have to be intentional about giving ourselves a deposit slip, right? Like that credit that's required, right? And that's what begins to change our identity, and that's what begins to change like our subconscious and our unconscious mind. Okay, I believe. Now, if you think something and act the same way and don't separate from the former you, um, you're not going to separate from the former thought, right? And then eventually the body doesn't overtake the mind, right? Our body follows our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind, in my opinion, So if you begin to move your body in congruency with your thoughts, now you've created a new you, maybe a new company or a new family, new relationship, new body, new finances, whatever it is. But the actions have to be in congruency with the thoughts, right? Like the body moving as you think, that's how we separate. So one very important thing to remember in all of this, right, is that we don't have to look at some huge gap or accomplishment in order to really separate this season. Like lasting change is in small increments, man. It's like it's in inches, it's not in yards or centimeters, not meters for my international peeps, but it's all of these little decisions and these little actions that add up to build our confidence and our momentum, right? So when we do this, we start realizing, hey, I'm different. I'm behaving differently. I'm a little bit better than I used to be on separating from the former me, or I'm separating from what average and ordinary people do, like whatever that means, right? People that took off on Friday afternoon, or ate that full piece of cake, or slowed down on their workouts, or didn't get creative, didn't create new thoughts, or they talk about people instead of ideas, or don't do the extra reps at the gym, or stay disciplined in their nutrition, or put in a little extra effort in the evening, or don't do anything on Saturdays. Like all of these are opportunities for us to separate. And it's just little decisions, it's little things that we do. And, my favorite way to separate, is, here's a couple ideas of things we can do to separate in ways that we impact other people, right? Because I think that's what it's about. And excuse me, separation season. Let's make a few extra phone calls, right? And send a few extra messages. So instead of texting that friend, that you talk to all the time, separate and call them. Let them hear your voice. Maybe that person that you haven't texted or talked to in a long time, send them voice messages. You guys know I'm a huge fan of that. Send it to multiple people. Let them know that you care about them. And so on Christmas, like everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people get all these texts. Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hey, and it's good to know that people are thinking about you. But essentially, people have taken a text and copied and pasted it, and then they send it out to everybody that they know, right? And it's better than nobody, like sending you that message, right? Um, but it's not really the same, in my opinion. And so yeah, it would take a little bit more time, but you'll have more of an impact if you just send them a voice note, like, hey Nasco, I was thinking about you on Christmas, man. Just want to tell you I appreciate you and I care about you, brother. Hope you have a great day. What'd that take? 5 seconds? You know what I mean? And if we do that, I mean, if you did that for 100 people, that's 500 seconds. That's what, like 12 minutes? Not even. My math sucked right there, but it's not very long. Okay. You could do that and make a huge impact on a lot of people, and if you really want to separate yourself, do it early, right? Because most of that's going to happen on Christmas Day or New Year's Day. What if you did it a few days before that, right? You just sent these messages out and you're like, hey, before things get busy, I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. I appreciate you. That's a separator, right? Those are the little things that most people are not going to do. It makes you different and it makes you unique, and it makes you begin to separate from the former you. So if you want to move apart from where you currently are, it's what you're going to do now, right? Like right now and in the next year. And that's the things that are going to make the difference, right? As we know, it's not what you say, it's not what you think, it's what we do, right? And I do agree that we can think, how we think can impact, how we act. I understand that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that are just thinking they can think their way into changing their life. And I don't believe we can think our way into doing anything. Like we got to physically do it, like physically separate, like do things, like really do shit, like in real life, And since most people don't act, if you do,
Here's a good one.
oh, that's a new one. I love it.
Here's a good one to separate from, Mr. Ham.
Oh man, do you know how much soap I ate as a kid? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Well played, Curls. That was pretty good. So since most people don't act, right? If you do any one of these things that we've talked about today, you've already separated yourself from over 90% of people out there, because most people don't actually do anything, right? Curls, they just talk a lot of shit, right? So it's my hope. It's my hope for you that this holiday season, you separate yourself by having more fun, and what if you decide this is going to be the most blissful, the most fun holiday of all time? It starts with a choice, man. And there are simple things that we can do to separate ourselves, man. And just remember, it's in inches, right? It's the little things that we do. And the most massive changes are simple. It's like fine tuning a carburetor as opposed to overhauling the whole engine. It's just the little things that we do. And if we're willing to get creative and innovative, it can have a big impact, So just think about that. How can I separate, my body, my mind, my spirit, my family, my moments, my nutrition, my business, my money, whatever it is, my relationship with my kids, my partner, with my dog, whatever, everyone's spending money this time of year. I'm not going to do that. I'm separating. Everyone's overeating. I'm not going to do that. I'm separating. Like all of these things are a catalyst for change. And if we stack up all these inches, then this time next year, there's a different person standing there, and they won't be perfect either. There'll be things we'll need to do to separate from that person. And that's what it's about. Like I'm talking about change a lot, and I know that, but remember this, it's not about separating from where we are because there's something wrong with us. That's not the reason. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And all you can do is start from where you are, one day at a time, right? One moment at a time. And guess what? In a year, you'll be exactly the person you're supposed to be at that time, and we'll be talking about separating from there as well. So, that's the journey. And we're either growing or we're dying, and I want you to grow. I want to grow with you. We do that by separating. I heard this quote a long time ago by Ray Kroc, who's the dude that started McDonald's, which, he wasn't really looking out for our health, but he was a really good business guy. He said, when you're green, you're growing, and when you're ripe, you're rotting. And that's true. As soon as you're ripe and you think you know everything, but where is there to go from there? Right? There's no improvement. So we got to stay green and growing, in my humble opinion. And Ray Kroc, who is really smart. I mean, he's not around anymore, but when he was here, he was very smart. So that's kind of my thoughts, man, on the separation season. And I wanted to get some input from you amazing people. Like, what's something you'd like to focus on or do differently than previous years in this season? Like we're in it right now. So, I mean, what is it that's going on that you would like to do differently so that next year when you look back, you're like, oh man, I remember last year I was doing blank, 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 but not. So I'm going to drink water now. Who wants to share? Shabir, my man.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Danny. Great advices, and we all need to do what you just shared with us. But how to do it? It's we make decision. We say we want to do this, we want to do that, but we still don't do it. I share how I do it. I start interviewing myself, asking myself question. Every action I take, good or bad, especially the bad ones, and I ask myself, what I do here, is this going to help me? Is this going to take me who I want to be in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? So by asking yourself a question, then you will realize that what you're doing is not right. And change is okay, but progress is very important. And what makes the progress? When you take action. Movement creates progress, and progress leads to fulfillment. That's how you get the result. That's what you do. So asking yourself question, is this helping me? If not, then why I'm doing it? That's how you keep changing. And a small change can affect your life in a big time, slowly, and you have to be patient. It does not happen overnight. Thank you, guys. That's my take and that's my share. That's what I do in my life. Thanks, Danny.
Thanks for sharing, brother. I appreciate it. Good looking out, man. Yeah, I heard this thing. This guy Jesse Eitzler had this saying, and he says, "Remember tomorrow." Like that's what he tells himself all the time. And I've stolen that from him. I use that quite a bit, and he was relating it to running, which we know I don't do. But when he doesn't feel like running today, he tells himself, "Remember tomorrow." Meaning, how am I going to feel tomorrow about the fact that I did not get up off my ass and go do that today, right? Like, how am I going to feel tomorrow about the fact that I just ate this whole piece of cake, or that I did not send out this broadcast, or that I did not complete whatever it is, right, in your business or anything like that. So to me, I really like that saying. That's been helpful to me. It's kind of the same thing as asking yourself questions, but in that moment, it's how am I going to feel tomorrow if I choose this action right now? And it's easier said than done, like most things that are worthwhile, but I find that's a good filter to run some of my decisions through. Hilton, my man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, Danny. How all? I think for me, the thing I've written down here is stay in your character. And I think what happens, especially at the time over, I've got a very large family, and there's times when we get together over Christmas and and the New Year. And what I normally find is I get pulled out of my character a lot, and I get affected by other people's opinions, their views, their values, but not this year. And I will stay in character. And it's the same thing as all the processes and the things which I've worked on throughout the year, as in my training, my mindset, meditation, all these different things, and the online marketing world. I won't be having much time off over the Christmas season because I'll be working on my business throughout that time, and then spending time with family when I can. So I'll always stay in character from now on, you see. That's what I will do.
I love
Thank
it,
you.
man. That's one of my favorite quotes is Dr. Seuss, right? And he says, "Be who you are, say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." You know, and I relate that a lot to just being yourself. You know, be who you are. But if somebody's going to be upset about it, then they're probably not that important anyway. You know what I mean? And the people who really care about you, they just want you to be you, man. You know, and you've done a ton to separate. Remember this time last year, you had a lot of fear about starting your coaching business. You know, and the next chapter.
Yeah, it's not only that; it's also I'm doing a podcast as well, and to go into that at the same time, you know, running a coaching business and a podcast at the same time, it really has taught me you can't know how to do something until you do it. Because what we're actually doing here is training, but the only way you're going to know to do what you're doing is by doing it. And I've learned a hell of a lot. And, you know, meeting different people, even on the podcast and the coaching as well, is just made it totally different in my mindset. So, yeah.
I appreciate you sharing, brother. Thank you.
And
All
Danny,
right. Yes,
why
sir.
what we're saying, we change. It's too easy for all of us, to say, yes, I want to change this, I want to change that, I want to be, but how to change that, how to implement that in your life? You have to have a strategy. For example, for me, I have decided 3 months ago, because in my house we eat lots of caps. During the day while I'm working, I get hungry, eat caps. I have changed the environment.
Well,
Instead of
eat a what? What is
what's
that?
that?
A cap? You said a cap?
No, carbohydrates, like lots of
Carbs. Got
breads
it.
and
Got it.
stuff. Yes,
Yeah,
carbs.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
Sorry for
Got it.
my
Got it.
accent. Okay. Thank you for
You're good, bro.
correcting.
I just want to be here with you. I just want to be on the same page. I thought you said you're eating cups. I'm like,
Okay.
I've
Thank you.
never even heard of
Thank
that.
you.
Thanks. All right, bro.
I appreciate that. So what I have done, instead of eating all these breads and everything, I'll leave cabbage, carrots, cucumbers right in front on the table. Every time I go in the kitchen, instead of eating that stuff that's not good for me, I just go on cabbage and lettuce and cucumber, and that satisfies me. Because what we say we want to do, this mind does not allow us, because we're used to it. And this age that we are, it's not easy to change it straight away. And plus, have an accountability partner, be honest and authentic, and ask if I do wrong, come and tap on my shoulder and say, don't do it. And that's my wife, that's even my 2 cents. If I do something wrong, you see daddy doing something wrong, come and tell me, because doing it by yourself is not easy. As J.J. John Jackson used to say, life is a team game. You cannot win the game by yourself. You have to create your team and win it together. So ask people. I ask Danny, I'm doing something wrong. We go on the call and say, what do you think? And says, no, don't do it, Chibi. So that's how it can work. Otherwise, we just keep creating a stress on ourselves, and we say, I want to change, and it never happens. We're doing same thing again and again. So accountability partner and changing the environment is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Anat.
I just on the terms of change and making changes for yourself. A long time ago, I stopped doing New Year's resolutions. I don't do New Year's resolutions anymore because I let myself down, and then I felt bad, and it just wasn't worth it. So now, throughout the year, when I need to make a change, I do it that day. That's my New Year's Day. Every time I have something that I'm like, this has gotta move. I don't wait for Monday. I don't wait for a special day. I start that day. And for me, I've had a real battle with health, and I had struggled with going through muscle atrophy about a year ago. And I just started exercising again, and then COVID hit me. And I wound up with long haul COVID. And I was good for about a month after I was really sick. And then after that, the muscle atrophy started coming back again. And recently, I felt that I just given up on exercise. Like I just can't do it. Like I just can't. I'm so weak. I got no muscles. And I kind of felt like, well, you know, people give up at a certain age and they just kind of go and they just stop exercising. Maybe this is it. And last night I was talking about it with somebody on a group. And he's like, I'm in my 60s. I had muscle atrophy. I lost X amount of pounds, lots of weight. And I've got my muscles back, so you can do it too. And I went, okay, tomorrow's New Year's Day. Tomorrow I start again and I try again, and I'll keep trying. For nutrition, I feel like I'm one of the luckiest people because I have food allergies. So, so there is so much off the board when you can't eat dairy.
That's kind of cheating. It's kind of
I know,
cheating,
right?
You know.
I know. And my family tend to be overweight, and I'm not, because I have food allergies. And I'm like, I'm kind of lucky. Like, although I do get really upset when, people are having cheesecake and things like that. So I've always said that if I was ever on my deathbed, I would have a last meal, and it would be fettuccine Alfredo, cheesecake, and wash it down with a milkshake. So, but as for Christmas, I'm really lucky. But that is my, health is my mission this year. Health is my number one. So today is New Year's Day.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing that. Every day is New Year's Day, and with that mindset, you're infinitely more likely to stick to what you set out, right? Like I'm a firm believer, like nothing great ever started on Monday, nothing great ever started on the first, right? It always starts right now. I'm a huge believer in that. John, my man.
Yeah, hey everybody, season's greetings. Fantastic call, Danny, very uplifting. There's so much to talk about, but I will keep it very brief. The equilibrium is one thing. I read a phrase in a book by one of the New Thought authors, Florence Scovel Shinn, and she talks about the square of life: health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. So I know there's Fortopia and everybody's got their idea of what balance means. But one of the things you said just sparked a memory, and that was something in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits. And it's when we want to start a new habit, when we want to create a new habit, if we make this little micro commitment and keep it to it, we make these small promises, not big promises, make small promises and keep them. We keep the promise to ourselves, we do it. The actual effects of that, and this has happened to me recently because I try and integrate new routines into my world. Keeping those promises to yourself, they empower you. They give you a feeling of control over yourself and your life and your destiny. So yes, that's my little, share of somebody else's wisdom. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'm a firm believer. That's one of my favorite books of all time. But that's kind of where the premise of making and keeping commitments to yourself is how you build self-confidence. I'm sure he got it from somewhere else. I mean, it's nothing new, but that's what really stuck out to me was in reading that. And like the first thing I do with guys I sponsor when I work with them, the first thing I tell them to do is make your bed every morning. Just make your bed every morning. It's something that you can do that is you start your day accomplishing something. And it builds your self-confidence, and it's simple. And now your bed's made, and just little things like that. We keep those promises to ourselves, and not, that made me think of, there's a book by Stephen Guise called Mini Habits. I think I probably talked about it on here at some point before, but the whole premise was he needed to get healthy, get in shape. And he made the commitment to do 1 push-up a day for a year. Like, that's it. and I tell a lot of people that are needing to get in the physical area to physical fitness to just pick a goal that's so laughable you can't not do it. I mean, who can't do one push-up, right? Maybe somebody can't do one sit-up, do one, whatever it is you're trying to work on, but just set the goal. I'm gonna do one every day for a year, and when you're down there, you're probably going to do more than one, but if you don't, it's okay, because the goal is to do one, right? And just imagine how differently you'll feel in a year, and not just from the physical aspect of it, but just keeping that commitment to yourself, because a lot of times we don't feel like doing stuff, and I relate to where you are. I have a super rare type of muscular dystrophy where like I can't get on my tippy toe on my left leg, or my heels come off the ground, my muscles atrophy, and like I can't do a bike, I can't do a treadmill, I can't do like any of that stuff. You know what I mean? And so I feel you, right? But you can still show up, and we can still do what we can do, because some people don't have the ability to do that, right? So just be grateful that we can move forward with it, for sure. Anybody else have anything they want to share? If not, I got something. So, and what we end this call a little early because Curls has her thing. Curls, did you say your thing got canceled?
Yeah, the thing is not happening anymore. Don't worry.
You no longer have a thing. So we're your only thing on Thursday morning.
My only thing. It's only the cool kids now.
Right? Life is good, man.
I
I
know.
love it. So, this season, as in all the time, I'm a huge proponent of gratitude, as we know, right? And I also have a tendency to get away from it sometimes because I'm a person, And one thing I would love all of us to be mindful of this time of year is gratitude, right? And I get a lot of gratitude, unfortunately, when I see other people going through struggles, right? Or other people maybe going through some bad times. And I had this experience I want to share with you guys. So, so my first product, I had the goal to have it on Amazon before Christmas, right? And I had done everything in my power for that to happen, right? It was supposed to arrive here this past Monday. And on Tuesday, I found out that, where I found out a little before that actually, but Tuesday is when this experience happened, that it was on a boat instead of a plane, right? All of these products. So I thought they were going to arrive Monday, 2 weeks before Christmas. I planned the actual product as a gift set. It was kind of all built on the timing, right? With 200 units, because that's what Amazon will accept right now for your first order of something. And I was really proud of myself, patting myself on the back, because I had done all of these things. And then now it's not going to be here until December 31st at the earliest, because it's on a boat, right? And the agent who shipped it, he took ownership. He's like, hey, look, I apologize. My guy made a mistake, and I handled it cool. I mean, me being an asshole is not going to make the boat go any faster. I'm like, I get it. We're people. Shit happens. He's like, well, look, to make it right, I'll buy a carton of your product from the same supplier, and I'll pay to air freight it and all this. I said, that's cool. I appreciate that solution. So I reached out to Amazon, back and forth, and find out that the reason that the limit is 200 quantity they will accept is because of COVID. That since April, they changed their policies. And now, unless it has to do directly with something for an essential item, they limit it at 200 so they can take more sanitizer and masks and, whatever. So unfortunately, my product's not going to be here like I wanted it to be. I tried to find a creative solution, not really possible. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? Such is life, luxury problems, but I was still a little butthurt about it. And I went to this meeting on Tuesday, one of my recovery meetings. And this girl shared, she's been kind of coming in and out, she's having a hard time staying clean. And she had finally put together 60 days, right? Which is huge. You know, and if you can't relate, that's good. I hope you never can, right? But 60 days is huge. And she ended up going out and being with some people she shouldn't be with, and ended up being basically kidnapped, taken to a hotel, and tied to an air conditioner, and shot up with heroin and raped for 4 days. And she said the only thing that kept her alive was thinking of her daughter, right, getting out of there for this. And not to talk about the negative stuff, but the point behind this is, in this whole share that she gave, the first thing that she said and the last thing that she said was how grateful she was, right? And here I am in my head about my products not being at Amazon before Christmas. You know what I mean? And it's things like that that give me gratitude, right? Because shit is bad in a lot of places for a lot of people, right? And whatever problems I have today, they don't compare. You know what I mean? They're not really problems. They're just minor inconveniences. And, 5 minutes after that, this lady shared that Friday is the anniversary of her daughter's death, you know? And there's just stuff like that that goes on. And I know that we all have things in our lives, but this time of year, when we start to stress about last minute shopping, or the Christmas tree not being perfect, or whatever it is, your in-law that you don't like, just take a minute and realize that we've got it pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, just be grateful for the fact that the problems we have today, the majority of them are luxury problems, and anyway, that helps with my gratitude. So I figured I would share that, because that's what this call's about, right? Okay. So does anybody else have anything else they want to share before I get to our action item and my book of the week? Hilton, by the way, thank you again. The book I recommended last time, guys, The Illusion of Money, I just finished it for the third time. 7 more to go. It is excellent. Highly recommend it. Okay. The action item for this week is one, of course, the same as it always is. Reach out to someone and tell them that you appreciate them, that you're grateful for them. Preferably make a phone call, send them a voice message, tell them in person, not a text message or an email. So my mom wrote me a letter. Did I share it on the last call? I had the little homework to send a letter to somebody, like a note telling them that you appreciated them. Well, my mom watched one of these replays that I'd stuck on YouTube and she mailed me a letter telling me that she appreciated me and she was proud of me and all this kind of stuff. I thought that was really cool. She had nothing else to do. She's, on lockdown in assisted living. So here's your homework and the book of the week. This is 2 in 1, all at the same time. Okay. So this book right here is called One Word That Will Change Your Life. Has anybody heard of this? No? Okay. So this guy, John Gordon, is the main author. I say the main one because he's the only one that I actually knew before this book. He might have had a very small part in this book, but I know who he is. He wrote that book called The Energy Bus, which I had recommended on here that was really cool. But anyway, this book right here, the action item is to get this book. Get this book. It is super small. You can read this book even if you read really slow in like 40 minutes. Okay. Or Audible has the audiobook and it's like $5. And if you don't have Audible, or if you don't have $5, email me and I will buy the book for you. I promise you, I will send it to you. I'll buy all of you this book. Okay. This is a really cool book. And on our next call in 2 weeks, on the 31st, the topic is going to be, what is your one word, right? And the premise of the book is, and it's super interesting. It's a super good book, but it's about coming up with one word that your next year is going to be about, right? It's not a resolution. It's not anything like that. It's basically you come up with a word that you're going to live next year through. Like some people have like surrender or integrity or spirituality, but whatever it is for you, right? Everybody's word is different. And it talks in there about companies, teams, organizations who've done this, right, and the impact that it's had on them personally and on his teams. And that's what we're all here for, right? Is to raise the vibrational level of the planet, man. So I think this will help us do that. So that's your action item in your homework. And if you don't have Audible or you don't want to spend the $5, email me and I promise I will buy the book for you. I will send you the Audible email. I can do that all the way here from Florida because I'm a technological mastermind. All right, Curls,
Oui.
darling, thank you for making all this happen and for being amazing.
Yeah,
We appreciate you.
I've ordered a whole box of soap just for you.
I'm telling you, soap does not do the trick. My mom has fed me every type of soap ever growing up.
She's going to appreciate that video then. Hi, Mama.
Yeah, she will like that one. She will like. She will. She does. She watches some of these. She gets a kick out of it.
Oh, that's good. FYI, there's no call booked for the 31st.
Oh, well then we'll do it in January. When you sent me a message a month ago, all the InFocus people, and said, "Hey, are you guys good to do your dates?" I said, "Yes." So I made that commitment.
I've given you some holidays.
Right on. Extra gym day, baby.
So you can separate as much as you want.
Yeah. I'll be doing something positive.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever the next call is, that's when we're doing it. So now you have even more time to read a 30-minute book.
Yeah, absolutely.
The main thing is come up with the word. And there's like a website that tells you about where you can go and kind of like come up with your plan to help you find your word. But I've got my word. I'm really excited about it.
He's got his word.
I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I got my word.
Oh.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all coming to hang out with the cool kids. I hope you have a fabulous Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever it is you celebrate. We're grateful for you and we love you and I appreciate you and have an awesome day. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And if you don't celebrate, it's good as well. Not everybody celebrates Christmas, but
no, I said or anything else.
Or celebrate
any day.
At all.
Any day. I say every day. People say, "When's your birthday?" I'm like, every day.
Every day.
Every single day is my birthday.
I'm reborn.
Straight up.
Every
day.
So, happy end of the year, and we will see you very soon. So dive into this book, come up with this word, and we'll have a blast on the New Year's Eve call that we will have. So not the New Year's Eve, but the 2021 call. Yay.
2021.
Yeah. Thank you for being
That sounded like the future, didn't it? Like 10 years ago, I remember thinking 2021 just sounded like the future, man.
Yeah.
Like the Jetsons, the future.
Yeah,
you know?
Star Trek kind of thing. But
and now we're in the future, man.
Thank you for being here all this year with us, for bringing your thoughts, sharing, being vulnerable, opening up, challenging, doing all these things with us. These calls wouldn't happen without you guys anyway. So yeah, I hope you'll still be there in 2021 and that we will go through all these challenges together. And I know it's been a strange year, but I think it's been a great year to do some introspective and look inside ourselves. So I hope this will blossom. Whatever seeds you've planted in 2020, I hope it will blossom in 2021.
It will. Nasco, do you have your hand up?
Can I add a word? Yeah. I just wanted to say that year 20 started with COVID-19, right? This is how we started our year of 20. So I wish you all that you start your year 21 with something that is called COVID-20, but this is a creation that you create, not a virus. It's a virus that influences people in such a way that they blossom, they grow, they thrive instead of survive, right? So let's create the COVID-20 in a completely different way.
All right.
2.0, COVID 2.0, like the next version, man.
Sending you a lot of love, and I will see your faces very soon. Bye, guys. Keep being awesome.
Bye, guys.